Hi everybody, this is Michelle. I thought today I would make a video on how I start a junk journal. I don't know if there's a lot of videos made about this. I don't remember any from when I started, but that was a while ago. But the way I start, some people will pick a theme, sewing, gardening, whatever. I personally pick a inspiration piece. I found this bag at Tuesday morning. It's just a regular gift bag. And this is going to be the cover of my book. And so this is my inspiration. I don't know why I love flowers so much, but just about all my journals are flowery. But anyway, this is my inspiration piece. So what I decided was that this would be my theme, just going with flowers. And the only thing I did to this to alter it was that I took this piece off because it was on these big foam sticky blocks and it was just a little too high for what I liked. You could kind of see under it and I didn't like the look. So I took my pink doilies and glued them down and glued this on top, and I think I'm pretty happy with this. I'm not 100% sure what's going to happen with this ribbon and tag yet, but they'll wind up in the journal somewhere, I'm sure. But we'll work on the cover later. The next thing I do is I start picking papers. I have this little book that I picked up in the thrift store that fortunately was sewn together so I can use it like that. I have some learning to write paper I just folded in half. I have a big giant dictionary from the 60s that I tore out a page from and just folded in half. I have some grid paper that's luckily was in a notebook that was sewn together so I could just take out the string and spray it a little bit to give it some character. And then I have some ledger paper, and I have just some plain copy paper, and I have some colored paper, and then I just did a little stamp on it. I have some notebook paper that came out of a notebook that was sewn together so I could take it apart, and then I just doodled in the corner. I have some regular notebook paper, and I like this because it's kind of it's got a natural tint to it. It's like a natural colored paper with like gray lines. I really like the color in that. I don't know if you can see that on camera. Then I have some vintage stationery paper that I'm going to use. And I have scrapbook paper because I have a serious scrapbook paper addiction and I have a ton of it. And I also have it in other sizes and other prints, that kind of thing. Then I take what I call specialty pages, because these are going to be my writing pages over here that I just showed you, and this is going to be like pages with pockets. Both sides are a pocket. I just kind of glued that, folded it together and then glued it. I didn't even glue them. I didn't even do anything to the middle because that'll be sewn in, so it won't be an issue. But then I make stuff like that. I make little pocket pages, and then I make big giant fold out pages, and this one just happens to be a giant envelope that I will probably put a little mini journal in or something, and then that folds in there, and this would be my front page, and I thought I would leave this open and make it a pocket, so that's what's going on there. And then I have this page where I liked all these patterns but clearly didn't need every single one of these sheets in the journal, so to give it some interest I just tore it apart and glued them together and sewed it up the sides, and then I just made side pockets out of those. So that would be that. And then the big pages that I was telling you that I just unclipped the middle, they have these at the dollar store. And if you flip to the very middle, you'll see the big string that runs down inside, and I just take my little scissors and clip that, and the whole thing will come out quite easily. You can see the holes. But that's how I would get pages that are, where the lines are vertical so that I'm not always folding in half and my pages being horizontal. My pages this way are horizontal, that way would be vertical. But anyway. And then I also have a grid paper that I did the same way. I'm not sure where I found this, but yeah, you just take the middle out. So then once I have my stack of papers is when I start putting together my signatures. And I'm sure everybody knows what a signature is, but just in case you don't, it's just a grouping of papers. I particularly start with 10. I can add or subtract from there depending on how thick I need them to be. But this is 10 pieces of paper folded in half so that I have one whole signature with 10 pages in it. And I've done that 1, 2, 3 times so far. Now one of the things that I do is when I pick out what I'm going to use as my cover, if I pick my cover first, which I don't always do, you have to measure it. So my cover is 8.5 by 6 1/4, and then when you open this up, the spine is actually 3.5. Now I highly doubt that my spine is going to stay 3.5. That's probably going to get cut down some because that's a really chunky book. But I do know that, you know, this looks pretty good. I might even be able to add in one more signature from all the pages that I gathered over there. So the next thing I do after I have all my papers pulled and I start putting them into, you know, a loosely based signature. I don't know if it'll stay that way. I may dislike something and change it around. Is that I start gathering little pieces and ephemera to put in my journal. I am, for some reason, totally obsessed with these teeny tiny envelopes that I make and put in there. I have ephemera that I would stick in there, make tuck spots out of, maybe put it in some of the envelopes. I have just some random little cutouts. I just have these neat little pieces I watercolored real quick. I don't know, it's just playing around. I have a really cute little playing card that I might use. I have a couple of little tags, some journaling cards that I'm going to stick in there. Then I have a music sheet that I decoupaged a napkin onto. I like the colors that go with everything in the journal, so I might use this on something, make a tag out of it or a pocket or something. I have little scraps of fabric that are kind of cute that might go on something, a little ruffle, just some torn fabric, and then I have a vintage greeting card or blank card in there that I might use. I have this little paper sack that I folded up and made a pocket out of with a little magnetic paper clip. That doesn't want to open. There's that. Then I made this pocket that I thought might go with some of the pages. That's just tissue paper decoupaged over a music sheet, and then I watercolored the other side and then sewed on the little watercolored doodad. And then I have just an altered business envelope that, I love that I decorated real quick yesterday. So these are things that might or might not make it into the journal. I never know when I start, so I really gather up just lots and lots and lots of extra things that may or may not. They match, so they could go in there, but it would be awfully chunky if I used it all. As a matter of fact, there's some more that would all go with that, so you know that's definitely not all going in there. But then what I do, once I get my signatures together, I would start looking at what I already have. So some pages already have a pocket that I made, and so I would want to start maybe finding things that would look good in that pocket. I think this is too big to go in that pocket. This might not make it in there because it's a little chunky. But then maybe I'll choose something like a cute journaling card or something like that, to that effect. And I start kind of feeling out where I'm going to be placing things. I kind of want to leave these mostly blank because I want to use these as writing pages. So maybe I would just stick a little thing in the corner like so, or maybe do a little stamping here. And over here I might attach, I don't know, I might attach a big journaling card and make it maybe a flip up and have maybe another journaling card underneath. I don't know, maybe a waterfall. There's all sorts of things that we can do to decorate these pages, and that's what I would start doing next, is going through and seeing how many pages out of each signature that I want to embellish, where I want those embellishments to go. And I would even go so far as to start gluing some of these embellishments down. Let's see, we could make a little tuck spot real quick. We could do it almost with, I don't know, I like this. I kind of like it as a pocket, even though it's a file folder. I don't know, maybe not. That's not such a great idea. Okay, so perhaps we would want to we wouldn't want this as a floating pocket. We could just glue this down here, and that would become the one embellishment for that page, and then we would of course find something to put Well, that doesn't quite fit, so we would find something smaller. Maybe we put that in there. Maybe that would work. Just to get an idea how thick this is going to turn out, we would start kind of feeling out what we're going to do. Like this already has a piece of paper in it. It's just a color yourself thing. It has fish on the back. I'm not loving the fish, but I do like the flowers, so we stuck that in there. And because that's a pretty big envelope, we could also, you know, do maybe a little something else in there. Maybe put in a journaling card this way. And maybe even, because this is kind of a specialty page, you would want to mark it. And we could take maybe a piece of this and just either glue or sew. You don't have to sew in any of your journals. I just happen to because I like the way it looks and I have a sewing machine. But maybe cut this off here and attach this as a little tab. And then I've got a big pocket here we could put something in. Stick a couple of journal cards in there. And let's see, I might want to take one of my teeny tiny envelopes and we could even just glue it right here. Just like so, and that way it's got, you know, and you could even leave this open so that you have a place for maybe a teeny tiny little piece of ephemera to, or to stick in there. Like, you could stick that hanging out like that, and then you'd also have this for a little private note, and you still have plenty of journaling room in there. So that's kind of how I start. And then if I hold them upright like this, you'll see that all my pages are not even. But I personally don't worry about that too much, because as long as it's less than 6 1/4, which they all are, my 6 1/4 mark is here, they're going to fit just fine inside of my cover. So I don't worry about that. Plus I tend to like the lacy edges and some, you know, edges with trim and whatnot and little tabs. So this is going to get wider anyway. Some of this is going to be bigger than my cover, and to me that's okay. I like that. I also like some of these edges to be torn, so I might go through and even make some of these pages a little more raggedy and maybe do some, not really aging, because I'm not using any coffee dyed paper or anything like that in this book. It's mostly white, and I kind of like that for this theme. So what I might end up doing is just taking some of my inks and coloring around the edges and the colors that match. And then of course we could always do a little something here. You know, even if it's just, you know, we talked about maybe putting this on, but maybe we can, you know, attach a little something here. Nah, maybe not. I don't like that already. But we could possibly, let's see, that's coming apart. Let's just take that all the way off. You could even take this and make just a really quick paper clip out of it. I'm really kind of random when I start making my junk journals. That's how I like to work. I go with an inspiration piece and then I just kind of throw some things together to see how it would work. So there's a little paper clip you might be able to use in there too. And then I just start fooling around with what I've gathered together to see what matches, see what looks good. You know, I'll probably throw this in there somewhere. Not sure where yet. But we have all sorts of different places we can add things. So, you know, that might even actually be a better spot for that, because I think it kind of goes with that paper better. And that way you can just pull the whole thing out, because the back does look really nice, and you can actually even put it in this way if you want to keep what's in there a secret. So that is how I start a junk journal. I just pick my inspirations, start picking papers, and start trying to figure out which embellishments I'm going to like with these papers. And that's all I'm going to do today. I feel like that's a long enough video. I think next time what we'll do is we'll actually start decorating these pages. I do a little light decorating before I sew anything together, just in case it starts getting a little thick, and maybe I would want to pull a couple of these out so that it's, you know, not getting too crazy bulky and you can't write in it and it's kind of annoying. So that is what we'll do next time, and I will try to post that video next week. So I hope this was good information for everybody, and I hope you like my video. And thank you so much. I'll see you next week.